I'm sure that many of you are wondering, Mordots, what are you doing in the Deep Run tram with like 50 other Horde players? And why is this video named The Culling of Stormwind? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you all about this after I tell you some other stories of things I've been getting up to in Season of Discovery. And to start us off, I'm going to tell you all about my any percent glitchless world record gnomish death ray. Okay, let me set the scene for you. After losing yet another leveling race to my buddy John, I reached level 50 in the depths of Moradon and it was time to take on the Phase 3 endgame experience. At this point, I had a number of options available to me. I could go and farm for my pre-raid bis in dungeons, I could go and start grinding PvP to get towards rank 7, I could maybe go and start farming some gold, or I could even do incursions. I'm not going to talk about the incursions though, because if I do, this video will just become a salty rant about bad game design. Although I did grind 30,000 honor points on the ramps, and that was very satisfying. But instead of any of this, as my highest priority when I hit level 50, I decided to sort out my engineering. I briefly touched on this in the Race to 40 video, but basically if you want to maximize your fun with engineering, you kind of have to level up the profession twice. This is due to profession specialties, which let you pick a type of the profession to focus on once you get into the higher levels. For example, if you wanted to be an alchemist, you could end up specializing in something like transmutation or potions. And for engineers, you get to pick either goblins or gnomes and follow their terrible advice as you make gadgets which are going to get you killed. The catch with these specialties though is if you want to switch from one to the other, you have to drop the entire profession and relearn it from level 1. People generally won't bother doing this because, you know, they'll just pick the specialty they want and that'll be the end of it. But for engineers, this is actually a necessary step if you want as many of the gadgets and gizmos as possible. Except, this isn't exactly true because as of Season of Discovery, Blizzard gave us an alternate way to get the opposite specialties recipes, but I didn't know that at the time, so I kind of went through this whole process when I didn't really need to, but we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to fucking talk. So at first, everything was going really well. I started crafting all of the gnomish engineering stuff I wanted without any serious issues. The shrink ray, the mind control cap, even the battle chicken, which is the only one of these items that's any fucking good. But then I got to the death ray, which was the final item that I wanted to make. I started buying all of the items I needed to make it from the auction house, but then I hit a little roadblock. You see, there was one item which nobody had listed on the auction house, the essence of undeath. But surely this would only be a minor setback, right? I mean, Phase 3 had only been out for like 2 days. How hard could this crafting reagent possibly be to go and get? Well, as it turns out, the main way you would normally get this item in Classic WoW is by killing mobs in Strathholm, Scholarmance, and Nax Ramus. 3 places which are 1, not open for business right now anyway, and 2, way above my fucking pay grade. An alternative way to get this item would be to go and fight Nathanos Blightcaller, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't fancy my chances against Sylvanas' tier 3 sub. So at this point I considered doing what I do best, giving up in the fetal position, but then I saw something which had the potential to be my salvation. Within the bleak and depressing Western Plaguelands there was but a single level 56 to 57 elite mob with a 4% chance to drop the essence. The Skeletal Warlord, sequestered away in a broken tower surrounded by other dangerous mobs, including but not limited to the Searing Ghoul, a mob known for its high damage output causing the end for many hardcore characters. The mere notion, the very idea of trying to kill this mob not only once but potentially 25 or more times just to get an item to craft another item which I'm pretty much never going to use outside of joke circumstances. I mean, this entire thing just sounds like something that you would have to be incredibly stupid to even attempt, am I right? My first plan was to get the skeleton out of the tower and kite it to death in an open space. Thanks to Between the Eyes, Quick Draw, and Poison Knife, rogues can kite basically anything they want to death in Season of Discovery. The problem was the open space itself, because I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but other mobs exist and can aggro onto you and ruin your entire kiting plan. This game fucking sucks, by the way. My second plan involved kiting it around inside the actual tower. There's this ramp you can use to fuck with its pathing, but every time you jump down, you have to go straight through the skeleton, which meant I had to consistently land either a gouge or a stun in order to repeat the cycle. I did think that this was the best strategy available until I spent like 2 hours doing it without being able to kill this mob a single time. So at that point I decided to engage my third, final and greatest strategy yet. I just used a fucking fence. I did have to get rid of some of the other mobs in the area, but once I did so, this strategy proved to be the most simple and effective one yet. Which makes sense, because fence kiting has been around for as long as this video game has been around, and I only thought to try it after my own scuffed methods of kiting didn't end up working. I got the skeleton out of the tower, started kiting it around the fence, and it took me an entire 4 minutes of shooting and throwing knives at it before it finally fell back into the dirt. Coupled with its respawn time, having to kill the other mobs in the area, and the low drop rate of the Essence of Undeath, I knew I was going to end up being here for a very long time. But you know, no time like the present. I'm like, oh my fucking god! 4% chance! 4% chance! And I got it on the first goddamn kill! I thought I was going to be stuck here for days or weeks, but no, I'm done. GG easy. Fucking holy shit. With the final thing I needed, I went over to Orgrimmar and crafted Season of Discovery's first ever Gnomish Death Ray. And you might be wondering, Mordots, how do you know for a fact that you made this item before anybody else? And the answer to that question is very simple. Firstly, I prioritized getting this once I hit max level over any of the far more relevant options available to me. Secondly, I got incredibly lucky with my essence drop to the point where I went and checked the auction house periodically after this, and it took literally weeks before I saw a single other essence get posted. And my third and final point is that nobody is as dumb as me. This item is a joke. It's a meme. Even if you're an engineer, you're probably not going to bother making it because most of the time this thing is fucking trash. It's still very funny to kill someone with it in PvP, but outside of that, it's just not very good. Nobody else gives a fuck about this except for me, but I don't care. I got the world's first Season of Discovery, Gnomish Death Ray, and nobody can ever take that away from me. And if you do know about somebody who managed to make this item before me, then go ahead and tell me in the comments down below so that I can delete it and continue to gaslight myself. Anyway, that's enough of that. I should probably start telling you about this little deep run tram incident. Although, I could blue ball you with one other quick story first. What do you say, champ? Oh wait, that's right, I can't hear you. This is a one-way conversation. Anyway, here's the story of my favourite gank I've ever made. Ah, Ratchet. Out of all of the locations in Classic WoW, this is truly one of my favourites. Though small in size, this place has a lot of beauty to it, from its ocean views to its attractive and not so attractive inhabitants. Whether you're here to use the Flight Master, grab the boat over to Booty Bay, or just to say hi to Gazlo, who you might know from the indie title Warcraft 3 or its spiritual successor Clash Royale. No matter your reason for coming here, this place truly is a paradise. Unless you're part of the Alliance. If you're part of the Alliance, this place is a fucking hellscape. And I play no small part in that reality. Don't get me wrong, I will gank people anywhere on this map, but Ratchet is just perfectly set up for some Alliance griefing. And if at any point this place gets kind of quiet and boring, you can just hop on the boat to Booty Bay and harass people there. Like I said, paradise. Anyway, in order to tell you this story, we're going to have to go back in time. Back to Phase 2, when there were still people playing this game mode. Our story naturally takes place in Ratchet during Phase 2 on a night when I was out here committing some low to moderate crimes. However, while I was on this little
killing spree,
I made a fatal mistake. Unbeknownst to myself at the time, I had just encountered and murdered the main character of our world, not just this video game, the real world. The sad thing is, I don't even have a recording of this moment. I wasn't filming, I was just killing people and having fun. About 30 seconds after the kill though, I did start recording because of the very funny whisper I received as a result of it.
Jesus, tell you're a beta male without telling me you're a beta male.
Obviously I had to respond to this, so I hit him with my patented trademarked all caps hello. I then followed it up with a nice little who is this haha, and when that didn't get a response I thought the conversation had died before it even started. At this point I started to wonder why I'd even been messaged in the first place, and I did consider the idea that it was somebody I had just ganked. After all, I am no stranger to people complaining to me about their own choice to play on a PvP server, but I also considered that it might be somebody from this very YouTube channel. Some of you have reached out and messaged me in-game after all, so I thought I would just check if that was the case here. I sent the message, "Are you here from my YouTube channel?" And at that point the floodgates opened.
Lol, as if you just said that cringe shit. 100% beta male right there.
This is an appropriate time to mention that I did say some cringe stuff back to this person, but I only did it for two reasons. First of all, I wanted to wind this person up and piss them off because it's funny, and the other reason is because I am cringe. Obviously. I mean, are you new to this channel? What the fuck? I just want to know who this is. Lamau, are you one of the nerds I just ganked?
The Paladin, yes.
Oh.
And Jesus, it's cringe when people call people on WoW nerds.
Wait, you have an entire second subscription just to flame people? Lol. It should be mentioned that I didn't actually think this was the case. People have second WoW accounts for all sorts of reasons, but I said it again to get under their skin.
Especially when you're a fucking beta male.
At this point, our messaging got a bit out of sync, but this is what he said in response to me talking about a second subscription.
No, my wife has an account to play, idiot. No, my wife has an fuck. No, my wife has an account to play, idiot. Fuck's sake.
Guys, I gotta be honest, I'm trying so hard to do this voiceover, but reading this stuff back is just... It's real difficult to do it with a straight face.
No, my wife has an account to play, idiot.
Are you paying a second monthly sub just to come and yell at people to kill you? Oh.
I can tell you're single because that was your first thought, lol.
At this point, I actually answered the message mentioning his, wife. You're logged on to another player's account? That's against TOS, my friend.
You really should read the TOS, little beta.
Side note, I did read the TOS and it says it right here, but hey, what do I know? In my defense, you could have pressed Bubble Shield and been okay. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the actual character of his that I killed was a human paladin, and I'm not gonna make any comments about that.
Doesn't change the fact you're single, beta male.
See you later.
I am cringe, but I am free. Also, to be fair, there are PvE servers if you don't want to deal with open world PvP. Mwah.
It speaks volumes that you call killing low levels 2v1 PvP.
And at this exact moment, he found my YouTube channel.
LOL, you don't even have 800 subs and you ask me if I'm from your YouTube like you're fucking Asmongold or Sarf?
The joke's on him though, because at time of recording, I now have over 800 subscribers, so I bet he feels like a fucking idiot. Anyway, where were we? They're players, I'm a player, pretty much the textbook definition of PvP, haha. I've had a few people whisper me about the YouTube channel, so I had to check.
You're also a textbook definition of a beta male.
That's fair enough, man. Then he said one of the funniest things he'd said this entire conversation.
I'll keep an eye out for you and your guild in STV.
I have to assume he's talking about the Blood Moon here, and just... what a weird threat. If you're not careful, I'm gonna come and attack you during the PvP event where everybody kills each other. Ooh. Also, the very idea of trying to focus fire somebody during this event is absolutely ridiculous. You couldn't pay me to pick somebody out of this crowd. Like a fucking Where's Wally book that's been coated in blood. At this point, I decided to ask him, is logging on to your level 2 ult and flaming someone for several minutes because you died once in the game an alpha male thing to do? And for some reason, he didn't answer this question. I fucking wonder why. A little bit of time passed and he went offline, so I thought that was where the story was going to end. But then he came back with an alpha male sucker punch to my fragile beta cranium.
Oh, and by the way, enjoy the ban soon enough.
For ganking someone?
For buying gold.
Don't worry, I'm going to explain what this means in a second. Ah, I see. I mean, good luck with that. I will make sure not to open any of my mail.
Adorable, you think that matters. Enjoy the ban.
Thanks, man. You too. And that really was where the conversation ended. But if you haven't been paying attention to every tiny little bit of SOD drama for the last 6 months, that last bit may not have made any sense to you. Don't worry, I'm going to explain and I'm going to try and keep it short. Blizzard banned GDKPs at the end of SOD's first phase. Good change, by the way. If you don't know what a GDKP is, here's a summary and here are my thoughts on them. Anyway, moving on. Around the same time, they also started banning more people for buying gold, which was another good change, by the way. However, there was a rather extreme and honestly quite funny side effect to this new banning system which Blizzard had implemented. The system was now banning anyone who received a large amount of gold in their mailbox out of seemingly nowhere, so the community decided, hey, let's exploit this. Some people started going on third-party gold selling websites, buying a bunch of gold, having it sent to players in-game that they didn't like, and when that player went and opened their mailbox, they would get the gold and also get a fucking ban. You could now literally pay real money to get people you didn't like banned in the game, which when you say that out loud makes it sound absolutely ridiculous, but it was also a real thing that happened. And now it was a real thing that was happening to me. This dude was threatening to go and spend real money to fuck with me in-game because I killed him a single time on a PvP server in a 20-year-old MMORPG. I love this community so much, man. I went to bed that night feeling ecstatic, like a kid on Christmas Eve. I was going to log back in the next day, see 500 gold or whatever sat in my mailbox and watch day by day as it timed out and disappeared into the void. But alas, this Christmas all I got was coal and disappointment. My mailbox was empty. No coins, no letters from level 1 suspiciously named characters, nothing. As the days went on, I longed and hoped that he was just being inefficient and that my money was coming to me real soon. I needed it, man. I needed to finally not be broke in Season of Discovery, and I also needed to get banned from Season of Discovery so I could go and do something more relevant with my life. You did this to me, McStabbings. You showed me the light at the end of a non-existent tunnel. You gave me hope, and now look at me. I'm one of the 9 people left playing Phase 3. Fuck you, dude. Anyway, to wrap this thing up, I didn't get any gold or a ban. Shocking, I know. But I did report the guy, and I got a letter from Blizzard not long afterwards in my mailbox, so that's interesting, isn't it? And one other thing I have to mention before we move on from this is that I didn't bother censoring the character name because it's a level 2 alt. It's probably never getting played again for several reasons. However, this does need to be said. In the incredibly unlikely chance that someone somehow finds out who this person is, don't harass them, don't message them, don't give them a hard time. The guy called me a beta male no less than 7 times in this conversation. He's clearly got some issues. Just, if you find out about him, leave him alone. Thanks. Okay, I've kept you waiting long enough. It's time to tell you the story you've all been waiting for. My first time stealing the Gurabashi Arena chest. No cap, on God, it's time to tell you the real story. What the fuck? Grilling fish in the flesh? At this point, I'm just fucking around and causing this video to suck. I could sit here for hours and keep baiting you out with these different stories, like how I roleplayed to get this guy into our guild, or the fact that I'm finally no longer broke because I hit the jackpot with arcane crystal farming. I could even tell you about my little Guzu moment in Sunken Temple. Oh my fucking God, I fell down the hole. However, the truth is, all of these stories I've told you pale in comparison to this final tale. A tale of both blood and thunder. It all started one evening when I got a whisper from my guy Zindo, who made a brief appearance in the previous video. He mentioned that he and his guild Darktusk tribe were going to be hosting some sort of roleplay PvP event. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really paying that much attention when he first told me about it. Sorry Zindo, I'm very easily distracted. It did sound interesting though, so I told him to fill me in when he had more information. A few days went by and I received a letter in my mailbox, not from some evil syndicate wizard or somebody trying to get me banned, but from the leader of Zindo's guild. War Conclave Invitation, 27th of April. Greetings, the leader of Insert here. The Darktusk Warlord be requesting your tribe to join the Horde's Phase 3 Great War Conclave. There be much to discuss regarding the Emerald Dreamers and reports on the Bloodlower scene in STV. Most importantly, we gather to discuss the Pales and Longears. We Darktusks be scheming, we got a plan, we be sharing it with all that attend. We hope to see you in Thrall's Chambers on the 27th of April at 8:30 server time. Be seeing you real soon, Mon. Signed in blood. Now, I'm gonna be honest, after this letter, I didn't really feel any closer to understanding what this event was, but it did sound interesting, and I was also told to bring as many members of my guild as I could. I didn't end up bringing anyone. Everybody had already kind of quit Phase 3 at that point, and John was busy working, so I went on my own. I arrived about 15 minutes early and ended up eavesdropping on a different role-playing event at the same time and place, or at least what I thought was a different role-playing event at the time. The Corkron Enforcers, arguably the coolest Horde PvP guild on this server were having a meeting of their own, and I was absolutely not about to disturb them with some dumb shit, so I sat in the corner quietly waiting for the actual event to start. More and more people started to flood into the room, and at that point I realised these guys weren't here doing some other coincidental roleplay of their own, they were here for the same thing as me. I got invited into Zindo's raid group to make sure I was on the right layer, and at around the same time another group showed up, making an absolutely glorious entrance into the chamber.
I am blinded.
Not long after this, Dark Tusk Tribe themselves made a grand entrance, and at this point I started to realise the true scale of this event. I thought it was going to be like 10 or so people shit-talking the Alliance and then we'd go and do some ganking, but this was a lot more than what I bargained for. And I mean that in a good way. I'd never been to a roleplay event of this scale, and it was fucking awesome. Once everybody had arrived and was situated, Mambi, the leader of Dark Tusk Tribe, had all of the guild leaders step forward into the centre of the room. And I am technically the guild leader for Jom and Friends, so I decided to go up with them, even though I felt very out of place doing so. I'm not an established role player on this server, I'm not an established role player anywhere. As a result of this, I decided to sit down and say nothing while everybody else conducted the meeting. I'm not going to read out everything that was said here, I just don't think that that's relevant for you as the viewer, but I will give you a quick summary. The Dark Tusk Tribe apparently found and then lost some sort of powerful magical artifact which they did not want to see fall into the hands of the Alliance. In fact, they were so determined to not let this artifact fall into their hands that they put out a kill-on-sight order for the Alliance as a faction. This is a play that I would refer to as hilarious and extremely based. Apparently, these guys are also worshippers of Bronsamdi, which would make sense in lore given that they're probably connected to the Darkspear tribe themselves. And I mean, who am I to turn down a request from people allied with the best written character in BFA? Then they spent a bit of time role-playing about the Nightmare incursions, but I'm still trying to pretend that they don't exist, so we're gonna skip that part of the conversation.
This sounds like an Alex Jones conspiracy.
The real meat of this meeting, however, was when Mambi started talking about visions of Stormwind covered in blood. Apparently, Bronsamdi wanted us to go and commit a little, how do I say this delicately, mass murder, and people seemed very on board with this idea immediately. We were told to join a new chat channel and make it blood red, and this army of players was going to be led by Varosh, the leader of the Corkron Enforcers and a man who is probably allergic to the Geneva Conventions. Adrenaline and excitement could be felt in every corner of the chamber. Battle cries were shouted out, we were given our orders to go to Gromgol, and the drums of war thundered once again. Oh, also, I wanted to use a specific piece of music for this part, but the last time I used it, the Content ID system flagged it, which meant I wouldn't be able to make any money off of that video, but then I remembered I'm not getting paid for this shit anyway, so who fucking cares? We made it to Gromgol, but a bunch of the big raid teams were getting on the next Zeppelin, so we waited around for them to catch up. Oh, and if you're wondering why I left that raid team, that's because I'm cringe and don't want any dishonorable kills. I'm not based like Varosh yet.
Free blues here.
We found ways to entertain ourselves until the rest of the warband arrived, and once the leaders of this operation gave us the order, the march towards Stormwind was back on. It had been a long and arduous journey getting here, but we had made it. This was our final resting stop before we marched on the Alliance capital. We weren't going to hesitate. We weren't going to falter. In our hearts, we knew this was going to be a fucking slaughter. Riding around the final corner, there we saw them before us, the gates of Stormwind. Our assault had truly begun. Despite only being level 50, we secured the bridge without any issue, and at that moment, Varosh decided we were going all of the way to the top. Michelin star, gold medal, we were going to march on Stormwind Keep and murder Anduin Rin. I mean, well, we can't. He's a child. He's immune. You can't attack him. But Bolvar Fordragon will suffice. After spilling the blood of countless guards and Alliance dogs, we had made it across the Valley of Heroes, through the trade district, along the canals, and into the heart of the keep itself. So far, nothing had managed to slow down the Horde war machine, but at this point, we were starting to get overwhelmed. One by one, the courageous raiders were cut down brutally by these Alliance savages. But as for me personally, well, I went and hid in a corridor because I didn't want to die. I was busy filming. Yo, how's it going? Come here often?
Yeah.
That a trap.
So far,
Nice
so
spot
good.
for a picnic. After being a coward and a roach for far too long, I decided to rejoin my brothers in arms, went back out into the corridor to resume fighting, and immediately got cut in half. After getting completely overrun and wiped out, we decided to use the Alliance's own technology against them. You see, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Gnomish engineers like to play God, because for some reason, the Warcraft equivalent of the London Underground can resurrect the dead. We headed inside and used the Deep Run tram as a temporary safe haven, and now you've got context for the very first shot used in this video. As we waited around for the rest of our war party to join back up with us, we were graced by the presence of Boruto, the Alliance's main character on this server, and the only person we were not permitted to kill. Unwavering, we held our defense until all of the stragglers were able to rejoin us. We may have not been able to kill Bolvar, but we could still wreak havoc by occupying the busiest part of the city, the trade district. We readied ourselves and awaited our orders, and when the command was given, it was time to go back on the offensive. At first, taking over the Flight Master seemed like a genius move until we realized we had boxed ourselves in. The Alliance had amassed an army of players right outside the exit, and like the brave Horde soldier I was, I marched outside to confront them and died on the spot. Right on top of Boruto's corpse as well. What are the chances? I watched on as my friends and companions were butchered by this legion of bastards, and then it was time for round 3. You didn't think we were gonna give up after 2 wipes, did you? We're MMO players. You either leave after 1 wipe or you stay after 10. Reviving at the trams, myself and the others had some time to kill while we waited for the rest of the raid to catch back up. I gave some guy 50 gold for 2 bananas because apparently I hate having money, but I will say it was totally worth it. At one point, the Alliance tried to flush us out of the tram network, but failed miserably, and once everybody had grouped back up, it was time for the final assault. That was awesome. Ah, what the fuck? Even the graveyards weren't safe from these literal animals. This rat bastard cat bastard was preying on my res sickness friends. I couldn't stand by and watch this. I took out my any percent glitchless world record gnomish death ray and decided to put this cat in the fucking dirt. I don't know what I was expecting. I have fucking res sickness. He did finally get killed, but it took like 12 people to take him down like he was a fucking raid boss or something. Personally, I can now leave feeling satisfied. The War Conclave was a massive success, and I really think fucking kill yourself. Like I was saying, the War Conclave had been a massive success, and as I started to half-stone away while the druid was being dealt with in the background by everybody else, who should I be half-stoning next to but my guy Zindo, the one who told me about this event in the first place. If that's not a poetic ending, I don't know what is. So, to summarize today's video, dangerous weapons, verbal harassment, and physical harassment. Really, just another day in the office. There were some other stories I was considering telling, but this video is already like twice as long as I thought it was gonna be. Whoopsie, teehee. Before I end the video, I do want to give one big shout out to everybody involved in the War Conclave. It was a ton of fun to participate. I think it was organized really well, and I cannot wait to take part in more events like it in the future. Remember to go and do all of that annoying shit YouTubers tell you to do. Big shout out as always to my tren injecting commenters. Thanks for watching the fucking video, and I'll see all of you guys in the final leveling race.
What if I stretch out my sack so it doesn't look like a ball sack and you do that?
Why?
Oh, there he is, right there.
Got him.